When I need answers about anything to do with personal growth, I go straight to my mom and my aunt. Here they are, Priscilla Babin and Tina Gilliatt with the Sister Sauce.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Sister Sauce. I'm Priscilla Babin, and there's my sister, Tina Gilliatt.
Hello, everybody.
We're back for our 8th episode, and we've got some good sauce we're cooking up today for you. So that's going to be fun.
Yes, ma'am. I want to make a disclaimer right now for us.
Yeah.
And that is, I just had eye surgery a couple of days ago. We're recording this on Friday. I had surgery on Wednesday. And Priscilla told me I had permission to do a disclaimer because I'm not seeing very well. And, but thankfully, my appearance has been approved by the Zoom filter. Improved, not approved, improved by the Zoom filter. But I will push through. We'll make this happen. We got some exciting stuff to share.
Yeah, you're doing good. You're getting there, and you've seen some improvement already. So I'm excited.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Just struggling. I think it's just been a long day. But
yeah, you still got some healing to do. You'll get there. You got some hot sauce to put in your eye?
I do. I have. Oh Lord, I don't want to put any hot sauce in my eye. Ah.
No.
I do have some hot sauce though. My hot sauce is all about my love and hate for technology. I love technology. Everybody knows that about me. I always like a to-do list that I can check off, but I tend to want to do it on technology now. So I do everything on technology. I rarely write anything down with a pen and a pencil. Mm-hmm. In fact, yeah, Chris. And so if I do, I end up typing it right away because I can't read my crazy handwriting. But it's a love-hate relationship. And we become so dependent on technology, and then it fails us right when we need it the most. As a media director at a church, I can tell you that the technology is not always cooperative. We run the live stream at our church and it never fails. We'll be doing what we think we have always done and everything's going fine. And all of a sudden I'm getting text messages. There's no sound on the live stream, or something's wrong. The video's frozen or whatever. It just makes me crazy because you think you're doing everything exactly the same as you've done it in the past, and one little thing is off. And so you just have to be patient. My husband was having a fit with the scanner earlier today because the scanner was not cooperating in our office here at home. But we finally got it to work. But it was just something glitchy. And so if I had any advice I could offer about technology, it would be to never put all your eggs in one basket and be fully dependent on it, because that's when it's going to let you down. Always have a backup plan. When I used to do presentations for the engineering firm that I worked for, I used this computer module that would show the road displays. I was working for an engineering firm that did road repairs, and I had this computer module that would show the road repairs on the different streets and all the backup information about it. And whenever I wanted to demonstrate it for anybody, I was always worried, what's going to happen if this thing decides not to work right when I'm doing this presentation? So I always had a backup plan, and that was I would do screenshots of the different screens in the application, and I would even do little videos so that I would have that in case, because you have to have a backup plan with technology. Mm-hmm. It's great, but when it fails you at the worst time.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
It's like the little girl who was very good and naughty.
She was
When it
very,
works,
very
it works.
good. But when
And
she
when
was
it
bad,
doesn't,
she
it
was
doesn't.
horrid. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, that is technology to a
it
T.
is.
But I
feel
do
like,
love it. I love it.
yeah, I do too. I depend on it a little too much. Every once in a while we got to go back to our roots, like when I was without a microwave and had to heat food on the stove like a barbarian.
I know. I couldn't believe that you went without a microwave for as long as you did. I would have been pulling my hair out. I remember
trying to heat my coffee.
when we lost our house in Hurricane Isaac, I had backed up my whole computer to an extra hard drive. And when we evacuated, I was in the middle of a migraine. So I don't know if you remember that story, but I unplugged the hard drive and didn't have the energy to crawl under the desk and get the cord that went with it. And so one of the girls at work gave me a cord. One of the girls in our IT department gave me a cord that she thought would fit my hard drive. And she suggested to me that I try it out on my hard drive at work to see if it would fit, because it was just like the one that I had at home. And I hate to say it, I was so glad I tried it out on the one at work because it fried it. And I said, if it would have fried my personal drive, I would have lost everything. The drive at work was backed up. The one I had at home was that was my backup, right?
Cautionary tale.
Yeah. That's a good thing to keep in mind. Don't switch cables out unless you test them first.
Yeah. Know your voltage.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, that's my hot sauce, is that technology can be good, but it can also be evil. So beware. Have a backup plan. Yeah.
And God bless you if you have kids who have to use the computer for school.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The story behind that, y'all, is that my son had to do math this week, and the program he had to use, you had to type in the exact right answer, and syntax and capitalization and everything else mattered. Boy, was it, we were pulling all our hair out trying to figure out.
Typing in a password. And you would think, because they do have the technology, to say, if the person types this in remotely close to this, give it to them, right? But for some reason on those homework modules, they don't do that. And that's ridiculous. Anyway. Very
frustrating.
Another love-hate thing about technology. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, we have a really good topic today. We're going to be talking about ways to respond to things. So you may recall a few weeks ago, it was a hot sauce or a sauce for thought, huh? On how
might have been a sauce for thought.
And we talked a little bit about responding. Priscilla just put it out there. She put it out there in the universe. Think about how you would respond if somebody said something inappropriate to you or whatever. And we got some interesting feedback back from people. One in particular said, "Am I the person you're trying to think of how to respond to?" Liz.
Hey, Liz, we love you.
I said, no, of course not. We would just tell you like it is. But we had some fun playing with this topic, but you guys, if you Google how to respond to or ways to respond, you would not believe the stuff that comes up. I mean, it just really surprised me. And the first thing I saw that we found was 11 ways to respond to compliments. Now, this was not where our thought process was originally, right, Priscilla? I mean,
no,
it was how you respond to smart alecky people.
Right.
Or
you were thinking negative things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of like putting a positive spin on it. But I thought to myself, why do people have an issue responding to compliments? Just say thank you.
It's true. A lot of people, myself included, sometimes they have a tendency to downplay things when you give a compliment, and there are a lot of people who struggle to take a compliment gracefully because it makes them feel weird, maybe because they feel self-conscious normally, or maybe their self-esteem is not great or something. So when somebody hits them with a compliment, they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So I think that's probably some good advice.
Yeah. And so there were tons of articles about how to respond to compliments, but this was one in particular that stood out to us: 11 ways to respond to compliments. And they gave examples. We're not going to share the examples with you. Well, we might share one or two, but it's on Happier Human website, and it's an article on there. And so Priscilla and I are kind of going to go back and forth and give you a few of these. The first one is just acknowledge the compliment and say, thank you, I worked really hard on that, or thank you, I was hoping people would like it, or whatever.
And then, so the next one, I'm a little, I'm a little confused about the next
typo.
one. No, it's the example. I'm like imagining it happening to me. Sorry, I went into the zone. Think before you speak. So so for example, if somebody compliments you on your baking and you have made cupcakes, then think about where they're coming from, I guess, with the compliment. So you might say, oh, well, you really like cupcakes, so that's a compliment coming from you. So.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to say, as much as you like cupcakes, it probably doesn't matter what it tastes like.
Oh, there you go. That's the
that's not what you don't want to say that, right? So you also want to be humble. You don't want to say, well, of course I've been doing this for 100 years. I mean, of course they're going to be good, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Be humble.
Be humble.
Or as some people say, be humble.
And then if you make the cupcakes, but with some help, you should definitely share the credit. So if your sister helped you make the cupcakes, you need to tell that your sister.
Thanks so much.
It's true with any kind of creative work, right? Especially if it's something you put out on online where everybody can see it. If you had help or you took somebody else's their work, if you used it as an example, you really should shout them out and give proper credit, and like photo credits, stuff like that, artwork. That's really important because that's people's life work. But even if it's just cupcakes, Betty Crocker helped me.
I won a brownie baking contest one time. Well, I won a dessert contest one time, but the entry was brownies, and I didn't really make them. AJ made them, and he insisted on putting my name on them. And then when I won the prize, I made him come take credit. Okay, so don't correct the people. So if they, for example, if you painted something and they look at your painting and they say, oh, that reminds me of a beautiful Renoir or whatever, don't say, oh, no, that's not the style of my painting. My painting is more like, trying to think of another name of an artist, like a Monet. Yeah, you don't want to insult them by correcting them. Just take the compliment.
That's true. Yeah. And well, like I said, a lot of people have trouble taking a compliment, accept it and move on, even when you're not getting the same compliment from others. For example, if someone at work compliments you, but your boss doesn't, don't bring that up.
Yeah. Could you say, you say, oh, you did some really good work today. Thank you. Finally, somebody recognizes it.
Or write to the
I would
boss.
have never done that.
They write to the boss and be like, see, he likes what I did.
Would you go tell him that?
I feel like we've used these phrases.
Go tell Joe that, he doesn't think I do good work. You can always also accept a compliment and repay it. That's always a nice thing to do. Like if you go to a party and you're all dressed up and somebody says, oh, you look beautiful, say, you do as well. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
People like to hear compliments.
Yeah.
What did they say in that one movie? The kid says, compliment their shoes. Women like that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was in The American President. He said,
Oh,
do you have any advice? And she said, compliment her shoes. Women like that.
it's true.
I'm not sure if I would.
Cute shoes. Oh, I never have cute shoes. We were talking
We've
about
just
shoes
been
before we got
complaining
on.
about our feet for the last half hour.
Yeah, that's how we prepare. By complaining.
Before we start recording, let's talk about our feet for a few minutes.
Yes. Next one is remember it's not a competition. Don't try to tell them why they're better at things than you. So like almost like a reverse competition.
Yeah.
Not to out compliment each other.
Yeah. Those cupcakes are really good. Oh, but yours are so much better. We can do the cupcake example for all of them. Don't fish for more information or additional praise. Like, what did you like about the cupcakes? Did you think they were sweet enough? Or did you like the fact that the icing was really creamy?
Do you want to get the secret ingredient? It's rum.
Yeah, no. Ask AJ because he's the one that made them.
If the secret ingredient is rum, everyone is.
Oh,
why? They won't know why they like them. The next one is don't be self-serving. Sort of the opposite of being humble. Like if you add on, well, you like my cupcakes, you should try my tort. You know. You think my cupcakes are good?
You should try my brownies.
That could go really bad.
All right. So last one of how to respond to compliments. I think I didn't skip one, did I? No. Keep it simple, but remember to show your gratitude. So don't just say, okay.
Yeah,
you look beautiful tonight. Okay.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that response.
Don't do that. Just say thank you and move on. I think that's why I was so baffled by this. It's like people don't know how to respond to compliments. Just say thank you. But in fairness, my husband fusses at me for this all the time because I tend to downplay everything that I do. So somebody will say, oh, Tina, you did such a great job on that project. And I'll say, oh, it was really easy because, this, that, and the other. And I did that. I overdid the acknowledging other people's input too. Some of my teammates and Toastmasters used to fuss at me for that. They would say, somebody says to you, you're a great leader. And you say, that's only because my team is so amazing. And they said, just take the compliment. You're still the leader, and so I used to struggle with that. So I do get it that some people struggle with it. But the best thing is if you can't remember all the things we taught you, just say thank you.
Yeah. We also have some funny responses to the question, how are you?
Yeah. So I will share with you, Priscilla, that I told you this right before we got on. That one article I found was a lot of sarcastic ways to respond to how are you. Things like, why you want to know, you're writing a book and that kind of thing. And I just didn't want to go there. I don't mind cutesy, but sarcastic's a little bit, you know.
Unpleasant.
Yeah.
No,
so
unpleasant.
These were from an article called 201 Funny and Witty Responses to the Question, How Are You? And it was on a website called stylecraze.com. And the first one I'll share with you, if I can see it, is somewhere between better and best. How are you? Somewhere between better and best.
Yeah. The next one is, if I had a tail, I would wag it and then wiggle your hips.
I love that one. I need to remember that one. I love that one. I think that's my favorite out of all of them. I am happy as a tick on a big fat doggy. That sounds like something. Do you remember Norm on Cheers when they would walk in and say, he would walk in and everybody would say, Norm, how are you? And he would say something like that. I thought about looking up Normisms, to see what Norm would say, but that sounds like something he would say. I'm happy as a tick on a big fat
If we
dog.
find that, we could put that in our notes. The next one, so much better now that you're with me.
Oh, that one's kind of sweet,
Wink,
right?
wink.
I like that one. Or you could say, wondering how you are. How are you? Wondering how you are.
I'm better than I was. Oh, I'm about to say the same one. Oh, the next one is the same thing.
Is it?
Yep.
Oh, basically it is. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
That's okay. It's a good one, so it's worth repeating.
Better than I was a minute ago.
Better. I'm better on the inside than I look on the outside.
I like that one too. Especially as we get older, right? I'm walking around. At one point, I was walking around with my shoulder in a sling and my foot in a boot. You remember? And everybody would say, "Oh my gosh, how are you?" And they do the whole head tilt thing. How are you?
You poor thing.
That
Bless
would be
your
a good
heart.
answer back then. Yeah, bless your heart. And the last one, oh, it's not the last one. How do you want me to be? And it says use a sexy tone. So you say, how are you? How do you want me to be?
If I was any better, vitamins would be taking me.
That's a good one too. I like that. Vitamins would be taking me. Okay, I would say I'm a 9.99999 out of 10.
Nines.
A bunch of nines.
Thanks to my caffeine, I'm doing great.
That could be me. I could say that every day, right? I'm as cheerful as a daisy. Thank you. Wait, I'm sorry. I missed what you said.
I was just saying I've used the opposite and said that I'll be doing better once I have coffee.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
A cheerful daisy is nice. That reminds me of You've Got Mail.
Oh, yeah.
Daisies are the
bouquet of pencils and daisies. Yeah, she's always, Daisy is her favorite flower.
Mm-hmm. I'm as happy as a lost kid in a candy store.
I saw this other one too. It was something about a pit bull in a china shop. And I'm like, that's kind of a take on the bull in the china shop thing. And that doesn't sound happy.
Doesn't really make sense.
It just sounds clumsy. It didn't make sense. A pit bull in a china shop.
Unless it's a really big one, it wouldn't make a lot of impact.
For real. Oh, I love this one. So ask me how I am.
How are you doing?
Can you not see that I'm practically sparkling?
Are you a vampire?
That's a good one. I like that one.
The simple one is just, I'm feeling blessed.
Yes.
That's good.
I'm not sure how I feel about this next one. Much better than I deserve.
It's a little devil horn.
That's cynical, huh? How are you? Much better than I deserve. How are you, Priscilla?
I think I'm doing all right. How do you think I'm doing?
Okay.
In your estimation.
That one reminds me of the someone used to, who was it? Somebody that I used to know. They would say, I would say, hi, how are you feeling? And they said, I don't know. They would say, I don't know. Check me out. And they would like put their arm out for me to feel their arm. That's funny. You have to be there. Okay.
I can't stop laughing.
I don't feel that great, but look, at least my hair looks amazing. I do believe I've said that.
I believe you said that too. Y'all, Tina
I'm
gets
really proud of my
compliments.
hair a lot of times.
Every time you're out somewhere, somebody compliments your hair.
This is true. My husband hates it. Usually it's the color of my hair though. So when I have a good hair day and it's not frizzy, and so the hair and the color look good, then I'm really excited.
Next one is real positive. Each day is better than the next.
Oh. Ask me how I'm feeling. Ask me how I am, Priscilla. Come
How
on.
are you?
Incredibly good looking.
Yes.
We're having too much fun with these. My face hurts.
My cheeks hurt. I'm stretching my cheeks.
How are you, Priscilla?
Working out. Everything is fine when you're around.
Oh, that's flirty. All right. You got to watch who you say that with. You might give somebody the wrong impression. I'm great, but I should warn you that I'm totally biased.
Getting better with every passing second.
I like this one too. Let me see if I can read it.
It's a long one.
I think I'm sorry. I'm struggling to read. Go ahead and read it. I'm sorry. I'm seeing double.
Oh.
It's okay.
You've been looking at the screen too much.
Yeah.
Living an amazing dream. Don't wake me up yet. You may join me though. There's plenty of room. That one's a little saucy too.
Then I can see this one. Getting better with every passing second.
Oh, no, you stole that one from me.
Oh, that's the one you read already? Oh my goodness. The best I can be. I hope you are at your best too. I like that one. The best I can be.
Yeah, that's a nice one. And then I am feeling so good that I have to sit on my hands to stop myself from clapping.
So I put a couple on here that mom had one that mom used to say, and I don't know if you remember mom saying
yes, that. I was waiting for it.
Oh yeah, mom used to always say, and she still says it occasionally. If you ask her how she is, she says, "I couldn't have more or want less." And I always used to think that was so cute when she said that.
Yep. She also says, check out the swing on that back porch, which
she's got some good lines. Like Flo. Do you remember that show, Alice? I think was the name of it, where she was the waitress, and Flo and Mel's Diner, I guess. I don't know what the name of the show was. It might have been Mel's Diner. Or maybe it was Alice.
I don't know. I think it was Alice, but Mel's Diner was where they worked.
The name of the restaurant, yeah. But Flo, she had such great lines, and I'm thinking we should memorize those kind of lines, and then we would be able to have some real witty repartee with people.
She was sassy.
Yeah. So the next set of responses we have are from Best Life, a website, Best Life Online. It's 17 amazing tricks for dodging unwanted, and I'm getting a blur, unwanted
questions.
Oh, there we go. It kind of bled into it. Okay. So the first one is to enlist the help from a friend or your sister. So, for example, if your grandma always wants to ask you about your love life or when you're going to have a baby or whatever, you get somebody that you know is going to be with you to help you and defend you and say, Grandma, stop asking her that or whatever.
Yeah, I have an ally. Allies are good.
When are you going to get a decent job?
And I mean, if you already know going in that those questions are been coming out, you might as well have some fun with it and make bingo cards ahead of time for everyone. There's an app you can use. There's an online thing that you can create bingo cards for Thanksgiving and Christmas time when you're with your relatives.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. That sounds crazy fun. And it kind of goes with the next answer. Did you see that? What the next answer is?
Prepare a canned answer in advance. So if you pay attention to us right now.
Yeah. So what you were saying though about knowing ahead of time, not only can you do the bingo cards, but you can plan how you want to answer.
And you probably note it on the bingo card so somebody can shout it out instead of bingo.
So the next one that they suggest is to use a bridge response to change the subject. So, for example, if my grandmother would say, Tina, when are you and AJ gonna have a baby? Okay. I'm way beyond that. But I mean, if that were the case, if I were young and that's what my grandma would say, I could bridge that to a different conversation and change the subject by saying, oh, did you hear that Debbie just had a baby? Or something like that. Or I just heard about a friend of mine who had triplets or whatever, and just change the subject. So figure out a good way to bridge and change it.
That's a nice way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't offend grandma that way.
No.
We must have been really fortunate because I don't think our family ever asked these stupid questions, you know?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe because we got married fairly young and had babies fairly quickly. Well, not me, but they knew I was working on it anyway.
You got some. The next one is restate and reframe the question. For example, if Aunt Margaret asks when you're going to finally get promoted, you can respond with something like, I think what you're really trying to ask me is how I'm enjoying this exciting time in my career.
I love that one. Little diversion. And then, of course, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You need to be prepared a little bit, I think, if you're expecting it coming.
Yeah.
That would be hard to come up with on the spot.
This one is one I've actually used. Be straightforward about your discomfort. So I've actually done that with people. I've actually said, I'm so sorry, but that question really makes me uncomfortable. You know, and it's not in the context like a family member asking me something. It's more like if I'm at work and somebody, when I used to work in the corporate world, I would often get asked by a coworker, how do you feel about the boss? And I mean, you can't answer that kind of a question to a coworker because you don't know whether they're going to go back and tell the boss what you said or whether they're going to, even if you say something good, they're liable to use it against you some kind of way. So I was never comfortable with those kind of questions.
Yeah. It's already not right that they're asking. So
yeah.
Another option is to shame the asker just a little bit and say something like, wow, you're quite the curious one, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of goes in line with that one's not as rude as the ones that I saw where they said, why you need to know you're writing a book? You know, I always we have a friend that I had never heard the expression before, but I know you have, about Captain Obvious, you know, where you somebody will say something to you that's super obvious. And then I don't know, Captain Obvious. What do you think? You know, don't you think you're a little too old to be riding that bike?
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Captain Obvious. That was an easy one. You could also deflect with a joke. So if somebody asked you something stupid, like how much money do you make? You can say, not enough.
Or you could say, more than you. Depending on who it is.
True that.
If your retired grandmother is asking. How's that Social Security working out for you? All right. Shame on me. Oh, whoops. Another one is ask them for advice. I'm not sure why I haven't gotten that promotion I deserve. What advice do you have?
That goes in line with one of mine, but I'm going to save those for later. So obviously, you guys, we're not giving you all of the ones the articles have in them because the one had like 201 things. We just picked our favorites, but we're going to share the links to all the articles in our show notes. We still have a few more though for you. So thesaurus.com had an article on 6 ways to respond to a gift you don't like. And these aren't really funny, but I liked that they were straightforward. And sometimes you just don't know how to respond. And I thought these were some cute ways to respond.
Especially if it's a really weird gift.
Yeah, I know, right? You could just say, wow, this is so thoughtful.
Or like, this is a good one for if it's weird. I am overwhelmed.
Or I love the color.
It could be any of the 3 million colors that are on it.
Right. Yeah, they give you something that's rainbow colored and you go, I love the color.
Or just, I really appreciate this. And when you say this, you could mean the fact that you actually paid money to buy me a gift that I don't like.
You could say, it's so unique. Now, you wouldn't want to say, it's so unique.
Yeah, you got to watch your facial expressions with
your
these.
facial expressions and your tone say it all. So be careful.
It's your tone. Or you could just say, you're so kind.
Now, see, our listeners that aren't watching the video can't see your facial expression, but the you're so kind with that facial expression said a lot. So I have my own ways to share to rude comments, to respond to rude comments. And so I wanted to share those with y'all. And then Priscilla has some things she wants to share. She wants to share as well. But these are my ways that I respond to rude comments. And just before I go into this, I'll share with you that the rude comments that I've gotten in my life usually have to do with the fact that I talk a lot, or that I've gained weight, because I have had a lifelong struggle with weight gain and weight loss, and I kind of go back and forth. So things like that, or the types of comments that I get that I find that are rude. And one way that I do that is sort of like what I said earlier, where I'm just honest about my feelings, and I say, wow, I have to be honest with you, that really hurt my feelings. And another one is, I'm curious, what prompted you to say that? Were you intentionally trying to embarrass me? And I've used that one before too, with somebody that was just outright rude and thought that they were cloaking their rudeness in the way they phrased it. You know how that is, Priscilla. When I'm trying to think of, there's a show where there's a mother-in-law that's constantly putting the daughter-in-law down. I can't even think of what show it is right now, but she always makes it look like it's a legit thing she's saying, and it's really rude. And I think that's what I would call it out. I hate those kind of shows. Then another one that I say is, what is your motivation for sharing that? I'm just curious. And then finally, you might make an excellent point, but can we establish your credibility in that realm? What experience do you have in that area? So if somebody tells me that I am not raising my children right or whatever, I would say, I'm really interested in hearing more, because maybe you do make a good point. Where do you get all of your knowledge from? Because don't you find that it's the people who don't have children and have never raised children that tell you how to raise yours? Or don't know anything about drug addiction, but can tell you that your child just needs to say no.
Mhm.
So what you got? I know you got some good stuff.
Spicy. There's some spicy meat sauce today.
Yeah. You got some hot sauce you're going to throw in the meat sauce?
Really. We'll mix it all together like a soup. And we'll have soup. Because I'm obsessed.
Goulash. Isn't that what that's called? Goulash.
Goulash. Or bouillabaisse.
Not to be confused with galoshes.
Oh, that sounds messy.
Yeah.
Don't confuse your goulash and your galoshes. Goulashes. Okay. Okay. Breathe. Okay. So I found this guy on Facebook. Facebook will just throw random stuff at you sometimes. And he popped up and I saw this video, and this was since when we talked about it in the Sauce for Thought and when we wanted to really put it in our list of topics. And I forget what the very first one I saw was. I wrote down some of his thoughts, but he's a lawyer and I don't know a ton about him. I haven't researched him specifically, but his Facebook page, you can find him by his name on Facebook. It's Jefferson Fisher, but it's Fisher without a C in it. Fisher, like Fisher, Fisher person.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got a hashtag too, Just Ask Jefferson. So if you search that hashtag, you can find him as well. But he has a ton of reels on Facebook, which is the short videos on Facebook. And some of them are about law stuff, but a lot of them are about just everyday life situations, in particular communication situations. But he's got a great variety of things, and he's really fun to watch because they're little short clips and they really are thought provoking. So here's just I have like 4 of them that I took notes on that I thought were pretty relevant to our topic today. The first one I saw was how to respond to "I was just joking." And you know, this is a pet peeve of mine.
Yes.
I talked about that. I think I talked about that when we talked about the misogynistic people.
Yeah.
Toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity. Yep.
Yeah. So, because I get a lot of it from dudes. So, I was just joking. So, one response you could give. Now, I want to disclaim this a little. He doesn't just tell you how to respond. He actually explains after he tells you the response what doing that response is going to achieve in the conversation. So it's really interesting that he backs up his choices of words with a reasoning. So I like that, but I'm not going to list everything. I'm just going to tell you the responses because we'd be here all night. So the first one to the response to "I was just joking" is, well, then be funnier, which is a little sassy.
I like it though. Sister sass.
But I mean, with one of these, it's really a lot of times, maybe sometimes they actually think they're just joking, but there's always a ounce of truth in these jokes,
Yeah.
or some kind of little spiteful feeling to it.
It's true.
So I feel like it's okay to learn them up a lesson, if they're going to be talking like that to you. Maybe it'll
I
be
agree.
doing it in the future. The second one for that was, "I'm surprised by that." And then you wait a second and they'll probably keep saying, "What do you mean?" And just keep saying, "I'm surprised by that," a few times until they really get aggravated. And then you say, "Well, I'm just surprised you went with that." A lot of these are kind of brick wall,
Yes.
like
Shut it down. Right.
Yeah. And the last
Absolutely.
one was, "It doesn't sound like a joke. It sounds like an issue,"
Mm.
which could be a good one to use in a situation where there's some truth to it. Like if there's maybe a conflict that they are seeing in your relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, a family relationship, or a work relationship, or whatever. If there's, something that's been getting on their nerves and they've just been holding back on it, and maybe you need to talk about it. So if you say it doesn't sound like a joke, it sounds like an issue, it might actually open up the opportunity for you to have some actual productive conversation. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So you made me just think of something. AJ and I are watching Ted Lasso again. And in Ted Lasso, he has this relationship with Rebecca, the owner of the team. And they use the word Oklahoma. And I'm assuming he does this with other people in his life, like his ex-wife. And so if you and I are having a conversation and I feel like you're holding something back from me and you're not telling me everything, I'll say Oklahoma. And that means you've got to tell me the truth. What are you really feeling?
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's almost like a safe word or something, or a
sort of unrelated, but
code.
You made me think of it.
That's a
I'm
good
just
thought,
kidding.
though. That's a good thought. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it too.
Ooh, let's see. And then, we talked about this one. Oh gosh, we talked about this one when we talked about the toxic masculinity too. How to respond to, you should smile more.
Yeah.
So if somebody tells you you should smile more, or that you should smile, I love this. Okay, I got to breathe because I'm going to crack up. He said the first response you should try is, and you should speak less.
I love it. I love it. You should smile more and you should speak less. And you got to be quick, man. You got to be quick with that comeback. Yep. That's so cool. I love
it. It should be right out of your mouth. And then another option is just to say no. Maybe you don't want to smile more.
You know what, though? That would be so. I love that. I love that. No. You should speak less. That would also be a good response if somebody says you need to listen more or whatever. You could say, and you need to speak less. Don't tell my husband that, because I always tell him he needs to listen more.
He's gonna watch this.
He's probably gonna watch this and have a good comeback. No.
You did it. You dug the hole.
I dug it myself.
Oh no. And the last one for you should smile more is, would that help you?
I love it.
I can't stop smiling now. My cheeks hurt. All right.
You're making my cheeks white. Looking
clearly, I need to smile more because I have
yeah, but your cheeks need to work out. So there's another response. You need to smile more. Why? Do you think my cheeks need to work out?
Yeah, we're staggering. I look like the Joker when we're done. So the next one is how to respond to someone talking down to you.
Oh,
so that's a good one. And I was trying to think what a good example of that would be, but you know how sometimes people just talk to you like you're a little kid.
Yeah, condescending.
Yeah, condescending. There you go. So some responses for that are, the first one is, what are you saying, or what you are saying is beneath me, that's just a really honest, thing. A lot of people would want to clap back with, don't be so condescending.
Yeah, you're right.
Or I'm not a 5-year-old or whatever. But don't
patronize me.
Yeah, a lot. I think he had a whole one about how not to respond. Or he might have had some notes that he said in some of these where he said, this is what you might be tempted to say, but this is better. So that's the first one. And the second one, he says, I'm going to give you an opportunity to rephrase that, which I feel like that would work with a lot of things. I know for a fact, I'm pretty sure Mom had done it had done it to me at least once, and I've done it to my kids. I've said, I think you want to choose different words, or I think you want to rephrase that when they have said things, that I didn't like, or when I said things
I can
Mom
remember.
didn't think.
I can remember saying to my kids at least once, between the two of them, I think you might want to rethink what you just said. Come back to me when you figure it out.
Yeah, but obviously that's a good one for this situation, but it's good for multiple, I think.
I think so.
And then the last one is, I'm willing to talk to you if you speak to me respectfully.
Oh, I like that. That's just straight to the point.
Yep, calling it on the carpet, no messing around. And the next one I have two more. The next one I had was how to respond to a backhanded compliment, which, I think everybody's probably gotten one or two.
Yeah.
Especially if the weight is always a big one, right? It's like, oh, that tent looks good on you, or no, that's not.
That tent looks good on you.
Oh, no, or like, I don't know. I've always felt like people's coming up and commenting on if they think I've lost weight feels like a backhanded compliment, even if it isn't one.
Yeah.
Just because especially if I haven't lost weight and people keep telling me that they think I've lost weight and I know I haven't, I start to think, how the hell fat did you think I was? If you think I'm thin now. And that's what I always want to come back with, but I just always think, thank you, But so these are actually these actually have a physical component. Okay. So to respond to a backhanded compliment, you're going to repeat the compliment back, repeat back word for word what they have said to you very slowly. And probably with a little bit of intimidation. So that sounds like an interesting way to come back at that one. The next one is to try, and this is an actually internal one. You can do like I've done when I've gotten some compliments that I didn't really like getting, and just focus on the positive and say, well, they're trying to give me a compliment. There is something good in that compliment, and thank them. And then the last option he gives, which obviously for any of these, there's more than 3 options, but these are the ones he had, and I thought they were good. He said to pause for 3 to 5 seconds, and then with a very meaningful look, say thank you. So that you get your message across that you understood that it was a backhanded compliment, or that it wasn't a real quality compliment,
Yeah, otherwise you wouldn't have had to think about it, right? Yeah.
Right.
I like that. And
then the last one actually goes along with our second to last article that you were reading to us from. It is how to respond to inappropriate questions. So this goes right back to that one. And his ideas for that one are, A, you could just not answer at all. Just walk away. The second suggestion he had was to say, why is it important to you? Or why should you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is similar to some of the ones that you had on your list. And then the last one he said is just say, I like to keep a little mystery.
I like that one. That's a really good one.
Mm-hmm. That one's really positive, I think, because it avoids the question, so you don't have to answer, but at the same, unless they start pressing you, I guess. But it's also it also gives you a little cute thing to say. That's not a rude clap back at them, So that's kind of cool. And again, his name is Jefferson Fisher. Check him out.
Yeah.
He's really
I'll put a link to his Facebook page in our show notes.
Cool.
Yeah. And I like that it's alliterative too. Just as Jefferson. Just Jefferson. I was going to ask you if that's why you were drawn to his page, because it was alliterative.
It was totally random. He just popped up. You know how Facebook
got lucky.
give you
She's got
stuff.
left.
Yeah, yeah, it
I
was.
love that though. I'm gonna have to go look at some of his videos. Those are good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I logged on there to send you the link, I noticed he's already got a new one, but it was not a response to a person saying something to you one. So I didn't
Yeah.
include it, but yeah. So those were great.
Yeah,
Now you got
I
the
like
farm.
those. Those were really good. I think it gives us a lot of food for thought. And like I said, there are tons more that we didn't share, some from these same articles, but we'll put all the links out there. And you guys, look, if you just Google ways to respond,
Mhm.
so many things come up. I could not believe how many different articles there were about ways to respond to how are you. So many. And a lot of them are repetitive. And then, like I said, some of them are really sarcastic and snippy, and we just didn't want to go there, except
Yeah.
we like Jefferson's responses.
Yeah.
Those are not ugly. They're just matter of fact.
Mhm.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. You had some sauce for thought you wanted to share today.
I do. My sauce for thought today is actually one I did a video about a long time ago, a long time ago. The concept is itty bitty stinging rain, and what I mean by that, I have to set it up because if you've ever seen the movie Forrest Gump, then that phrase might sound familiar. And if you haven't, there's a scene where Forrest is talking about when he was in Vietnam, and you can see, they're showing flashbacks of his time when he was in Vietnam in the military, and he talks about all the rain. He said it rained a lot when he was in Vietnam, and he described all the different kinds of rain, and big fat rain, and rain that came at you from sideways. And one of the kinds of rain he describes is itty bitty stinging rain. And this came to me because I was thinking about the idea, you hear people say into every life, some rain must fall, all of these catchphrases, song lyrics.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have these rainstorms in your life, and sometimes they're big fat rain, like cancer or losing somebody, or hurricane wiping out your house.
Yeah.
Tina's had all of these above. So and you have these big fat rains that come and wipe you out, and then you have all kinds of storms in life, and sometimes it's just this itty bitty stinging rain that doesn't want to stop, and it'll be your car breaks down, or you have a check engine light or flat tire or something, and then the kid calls you from school because they're sick, and then it's all happening constantly. And maybe it's not a big deal, maybe you just got to patch your tire, maybe your kid just has a little cold and it's going to be gone in 2 days. But sometimes when it's back to back to back, all these stupid little things, a critter in your attic, and you lost your keys, and you
Can't imagine where you're getting all these examples from.
Can't you?
Oh my goodness. And it's
And,
not like just one
yeah.
bad day with several things happening. It's like a week long of every day, 2 or 3 things going wrong.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's a coincidence. This morning, every morning I try and spend a little time reading or listening to an audio book or a blog or something that makes my Bible study time, where it's not necessarily actually sitting and reading the Bible, but it's my time to hear some Christian thoughts or read some Christian thoughts and get my mind, working on those things. And this morning I just finished the book I was reading yesterday, and I haven't picked a new one. And I was kind of rushing around doing things, and I was listening to Life Songs radio on the Life Songs app. And the reason I had it on, there's a genius question every day, and I wanted to hear the explanation for the answer. because I knew what it was, but I knew the answer, but I wanted to hear what Josh was going to say about it on the radio. So I didn't want to sit in my car and wait. So I turned on the app and brought it in the house. So while I was cooking my breakfast, I was listening to the radio, and then I noticed they have all their blog posts are on the homepage in the app. So I said, oh, well, instead of reading today, since I haven't picked a book yet, I'll listen to a few of these short blog posts, and that'll be my Bible study time for today. And one of the ones I was listening to was they were talking about hope and getting through hard stuff. And they were talking to Jordan St. Cyr. Have you heard of him?
I know the name, but I don't know why I know it.
He's a singer. You've probably heard some of his songs on live songs. He's really good. And he was talking about a time in his life and with his family where they had just 2 solid weeks of hell. And his family calls it 2 weeks of HE double hockey sticks. So I thought that was cute. But he started listing things, and I felt so bad for the guy because I could totally identify with what he was talking about with some of it. Some of it, not so much. I've never had a child who was sickly, from birth. So I don't have any experience with that. And I really have a lot of respect for people who have to, deal with all of the doctor visits and things that happen when you have that situation. But one of their kids had a lot of issues, and they found out his wife. So the beginning of the 2 weeks, his wife's at the doctor's office with the little girl and finds out she has to have some major eye surgery.
Ugh.
I think it was eye surgery on her eyes. And she's upset, very upset about it. And then they're leaving to come home, and her car starts having smoke billowing out of the hood. So she goes straight to a mechanic and just walks in crying and hands him the keys. And fortunately, it was a really nice mechanic, and he just patted her and said, I'll take care of it. Don't, calm down or whatever. So then she finally gets home, and he's on his way rushing out the door to take one of their other kids, their oldest child, to the hospital because they were jumping on the trampoline and broke their leg.
Oh my God.
And then he's at the hospital waiting with her while she gets her leg set. And he gets a call from his, the recording company that's supposed to be recording his album or something. And they went under, and he had to find a new company or something, a new contract.
Oh.
And then like the next day the car broke down again, and there was just all these things, and he's listing, and I'm going, oh my gosh. And I just felt like he experienced, he was already having sort of the big storm in the background of the child who has health issues on a regular basis, right?
Yeah.
But then this itty bitty stupid stinging rain.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really does. It just drags you down, even though it's not a big heavy rain. It's amazing. And we've talked about it between us, how it's amazing how you can have these big storms come through, and your faith holds you up, and your family holds you up, and you just chug through it. And then the itty bitty stupid stinging rain comes. I've added an extra word in, I know. And it's alliterative, stupid stinging rain. But it comes, and it just adds this sort of like a fog over everything, and you feel like you just can't catch a break, and it's so frustrating, and it brings you down, and it's really hard to, be joyful and have faith and have gratitude and everything when all of that stupidness is happening. So,
well, and you know what, you made me think of something. It's sort of like, especially when it follows you going through something huge, right? Mm-hmm. So in your case, you lost your husband, and then it was one thing after another with your house, with the hurricane, and your roof leaking, and this and that. And it's sort of like when you have a major health problem that screws up your whole immune system, and then you keep getting all kinds of little repercussions because your immune system is down, right? you get a cold or whatever. That's what it reminds me of a little bit, like your weekend. And so the pelting rain on your roof that's already leaking is, it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I think the key thing is continuing, my lights keep flashing, continuing to have a support system, make sure you have people you can talk to, have a sister you can talk to, and remembering, like recognize that it's itty bitty stinging rain.
Yes. Yeah.
And that it won't go on forever. It might last a lot longer than you want it to, but it won't go on forever. And try and find your gratitude when you come out on the other side. I think that's key.
Well, it's funny because you brought up the gratitude, which was our topic a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about reducing stress last week. And when we talked about the reducing stress last week, that was kind of one of the things that we said was sometimes if you have a lot of things going on, like these itty bitty stinging rain, you need to look at each one of them as an individual thing and think about, how bad is this really? This is just overwhelming me because it's all of these things and all of them amount to something bigger, right? It's just
like compounded.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you have a to-do list that doesn't really have anything major on it, but there's so many little things you feel like you'll never get done. And all these different analogies I'm coming up with. But it's the same. It's just, I know I've used your itty bitty stinging rain in speeches before. I've talked about it. I always give you credit though.
Thank you.
I don't give Forrest Gump credit, but I give you credit. This has been a really interesting set of topics that we've shared today. I really enjoyed it. I wanted to give everybody a little bit of a sneak preview of what's coming up on our next episode that will be released on the 17th. We will talk about our favorite books.
So that means we need some feedback. What are your favorite books?
Yeah. Tell us what your favorite books are. We're also going to talk about on the 24th, which is Christmas Eve. That episode that will drop on the 24th is all about Christmas around the world. We'll talk about some different Christmas traditions from around the world. And then on New Year's Eve, we'll drop an episode where we talk about New Year's resolutions. So a lot of good stuff coming up. We're going to have a lot of fun. And as I mentioned last week, it was so funny. I told Priscilla, I mentioned that we had come up with topics for the next 2 months and we didn't share any of them with you guys. So now you have our December topics. You know what we're going to be talking about. But one important one that we want you to be thinking about is coming up in February. We have one episode where we're going to answer your letters asking us for advice about things. So we need your questions or we won't have any material for the episode. It can be anything, right, Priscilla?
Yeah, it can be anything. We can't promise it'll be good advice, but
it could be something that we've already talked about that you want us to elaborate more. It could be that your mother-in-law ticked you off and you don't like any of the responses we shared tonight. So you want us to come up with a better response.
Not mine.
Not yours. And mine has passed away. So,
And not your husband's.
Yeah, that's right. My husband is the best mother-in-law in the world. Of course. So anyway, think of what your questions are if you want help with a situation, or we'll start putting some prompts out there to get you thinking. What do you need help with? What advice do you want from the Sensei sisters? What kind of sauce do you need us to give you a recipe for?
Is it spicy sauce?
Really hot sauce.
All right.
Be thinking about that and let us know. But in the meantime, make yourself a priority
And take care of you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to keep up on all the latest sauce. See you next time.